Hey guys, Corey with Faymus Media. We're here, Times Square. Nice change of scenery for the videos. And I finally got the camera ready to go. The review of the Nikon D4s. So guys, we're here in Times Square doing the review on the Nikon D4s. It is a fantastic camera, so we wanted to give you fantastic scenery. So here we are, it's a beautiful day out, it's like 85 degrees, and there's people everywhere here. It's jam-packed today, everyone's shopping, having a great time. But I've got this magnificent, and I mean magnificent camera in my hands, the D4s. So let's sit here and talk about a few features first. Now what's changed? Well, cosmetically, nothing really, except one thing to which I am kind of on the fence about. They've changed the joysticks in the back from having the rubber pointy grip to being kind of like a rigid hard plastic grip. Now maybe they're tougher, maybe they're not. We don't know yet. But what I do know is I kind of like the soft feel of the D4, but these aren't bad. I'm accustomed to the other ones. These are new. Anything new, change is good, but you have to get used to it. But as far as everything else, the features are the same except it has this very gorgeous little S on the end. Like that means anything. It's just a letter. However, this camera does pack a great punch and there is some changes. So let's clarify those and go over some of them. Number one, all the external connectors and everything else is pretty much the same as the D4. Now, as far as the features of the sensor, the big thing here is the fact that it has the X-Speed 4 versus the X-Speed 3. The images are slightly cleaner and it shoots a little faster. You can get somewhere in the area of 200 photos at one time with the exposure locked at 11 frames a second, and it'll shoot 200 photos before the buffer fills. That is definitely a jump from the D4. Now, the autofocusing system is still the Multicam 3500. However, they have tweaked the firmware inside of the focusing module so that it can actually focus a little bit better. It's very quick in continuous focus, and they've added one new feature, which is the focus grouping, which it will show GRP inside. You just turn the dial that you turn on the front to go through the different settings, and you'll see that it has the group option. And it's a really good feature, but the autofocusing system is definitely improved. Although it's the same as the D4, the firmware is different, they've tweaked it, and they went through the different algorithms to make it a much more effective autofocusing system. The D4s packs one hell of a punch for video. Oh my God, let's talk about that. 1080p at 60 frames, that's right, 59 frames or 60p in 1080, and it also does PAL, it'll do 50 frames. Wow, slow motion is now possible on the D4s. They've also added wind cut to reduce wind noise on the internal mic, and a wide or a narrow internal mic span. They also have the settings that you can set for vocal or regular. They've really adjusted a lot of the settings in the D4 and tweaked it to make this more of a video production camera. This has a lot more features than the D4. So let's get out on the street and let's do some shooting. Oh, and by the way, just figured I'd let you know that the screen has not changed. All that is the same. We're not really gonna go over any of the buttons lighting up or any of that other stuff. It's in my D4 review video, which I'll put the link down there on the bottom of the screen. Everything else is the exact same except these new features I mentioned. But let's go see how it does, do some low light shots. We'll do some 60p video in 1080. So let's take a walk around. The autofocusing system is pretty snappy. At times it doesn't feel much different than the D4, but then again the D4 was already freaking brilliant. Oh, look at that. They have that wanna take a selfie stick. Check it, look at that. It's pretty cool. I haven't seen one of those in person before. Now, one thing that has changed a little bit, I actually just noticed it, is the indent where your thumb is placed on the D4 for vertical shooting The D4s has more of an indent and it's actually a little bit more comfortable to hold while shooting vertically. That's a good thing because the D4 sometimes gets a little uncomfortable when this little rubber bump stop here hits your thumb, but there's more of a grip here to hold on the D4s. I actually really like that. So I'm gonna try it out here at 6400 ISO. Man, these images are clean, 6400 ISO, and they're clean enough to eat off of them. So another thing that's changed about the D4s is mind-boggling. The camera does 409,000 ISO. 409,000. People 20 years ago would kill for 1,600. 409,000. What's next, Nikon? You're gonna give me a D5 and it's gonna shoot at ISO 1.3 million? Come on, when is the ISO bumping gonna stop? All kidding aside, the imagery comes out beautiful. Anything under 25,000 looks very usable. In fact, the equivalent of 25,000 on this camera is about the equivalent of 12,800 on the D4. I'm shooting at 6,400 and it looks fantastic. Now, that's not to say that 409,000 is gonna look good. In fact, I expect it to sort of look like sandpaper and it would probably be totally useless, and I'm sure 204,000 is about as useless as it was on the D4. Who would really shoot that high? If you're shooting that high, you're in a black hole. Get out of the black hole, because that's the only place you're gonna need 200 or 400,000 ISO. You might as well give us 1 million ISO, because the way we're going, that's where it's gonna end up. But you gotta give Nikon credit. They've improved something so good and made it even better. Let's not get hit by a car, let's stroll. It's definitely a photographer's dream. Now, a lot of people are gonna ask, is it worth for me to get this camera if I already own the D4? Well, that really depends. Do you have to have the best of everything? Or are you content with something that's already great? It's totally up to you. There are some vast improvements with this camera. It did start out, however, at 6,400, whereas the D4 was at 5,900. I don't know why they jumped price like that. Who knows? But I will tell you that this camera is definitely a great camera. And if you don't own a D4S and you are looking at a D4, I can say that it's definitely worth holding out and buying this brand new than it is to go out and buy a used D4. Because this is the next step up. And there's no point in, going backwards unless it's in your budget, of course. More construction here like there always is. They're always fixing something, yet there's always a million potholes. All the tax money that we pay, and there's never anything fixed. I wonder where it goes. Here we go, using that group setting. Man, it tracks fast. Just awesome. Gonna switch back over to 2.8. There's so many nice cars here in Times Square. Oh, we got a nice Bentley right here. With a very angry Asian man. If you were driving a Bentley, would you be angry? New York tours. Beautiful view right here. Excellent. Hot dogs. I don't see any potholes. It must be a miracle. Statue of Liberty over there. A walking Statue of Liberty. Bike rider. Gotcha. Perfect tracking, as you can see there. I just took a picture of the cyclist going by. Nailed it. One picture, perfect focus. Just fantastic autofocus. In fact, I don't think there's a camera I've used yet that has better tracking capabilities than this. This is better than the D4, which the D4 was the best I had ever used, but now the D4s is. There's nothing that has better tracking that I've ever used than the D4s. Cyclist and got him again on the first try. That's the second time I've nailed it first shot. And he was only about 6 feet away when I pulled the shutter button. What are they yelling about over there? Let's take a walk across the street.
Guys, you want a picture? Yes, sir.
Say hi, Spider-Man.
Hi. I like your hair.
Oh yeah, thanks, man. Let's take a walk across the street. Let's turn the camera on Ray. We got some people. Where are you guys from? Mexico. A lot of fun stuff going on here, as you can see, in Times Square. It's fantastic. Now it's getting a little dark, so we're going to have to bump the ISO again, but that's no problem because with the XP4 processor, it's really putting out clean images, and we keep pumping the ISO and it keeps putting out good images. Here we are, 1600. So the D4s is just like the D4. It'll take all your DX lenses as well. It'll automatically switch, or you can switch to that crop mode by holding the FN button and switching the back dial. We're in the perfect spot. I'm going to switch it over to video. We're going to do some at 30p and 60p, and we're going to see what it looks like. Perfect for slow-mo. So you pull your 60p footage into a 30p timeline, it's going to give you pretty darn good slow motion. It's a great feature to have. I'm glad that Nikon has finally implemented this into the DSLR. So here we are switching over to video. Gonna go to f2.8, and at ISO 200, we're already good enough for now. I've got wind cut reduction that's now coming with the D4s. It wasn't on the D4. And I've got that on to help cut any wind noise I may get. See how that works out. You can also go narrow or wide, as you can see on the screen right here. It shows me that I'm in wide mode. Let's bump the ISO up to 400, and it looks spectacular. The images are very, very clean. Then again, we're only at ISO 400. Let's go to 800. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch back to 30p. And what we're gonna do is a low light test, and I'm gonna show you in video just how mind-blowing the ISO performance is in this camera. It is insane. It's almost unnecessary. I guess it's not unnecessary, but it is just that damn good. It is so good. Let's take a look. In fact, the ISO is so clean, I keep pushing it more and more to the point where I'm stopped to f22 and the images are too bright. It's wonderful. So here we are gonna stop down to f8. We're gonna go up here at ISO 3200. Gonna stop it down to f11. We're gonna go up to ISO 6400, and now we're at 8,000. 12,800. Now we're gonna go to f18. We're pushing it along. 16,000 ISO. Really?
911. 911.
Now we're at 25,600. Stopping it all the way down to f22. Doubling up at high 1. And the noise begins to come in. But we get pushed at the high 3 and high 2 here, as you can see. Here we are at 400,000 ISO. It's completely useless. 204,000, useless. It looks like a cell phone. 102,000, same thing. In the 50,000 ISO range is where things start to clean up, and back down to 25,600 is where you get the best usable image. That's about the limit. But whoa, 25,600, did we ever think that was going to be possible? It is just so awesome. So awesome that Ray, my cameraman, has fallen asleep because he's in dreamland. It's that damn good. This is the best low light performance you're gonna get on the market for video or photo. So now that they've upped the ante with the clean, imaging, even better in the D4, better autofocus, all the new features for video, including the 60p and the 50p for PAL, this is definitely the camera to go to for clean images, whether they're photo or video. It is just amazing. It is awesome. So let's go ahead and push the ISO. We're going to work the camera to death. We're gonna keep pushing and pushing and pushing until it breaks. And we're just gonna keep on pushing. Let's shoot at f8. And we're gonna get that ISO all the way up to 6,400. Just beautiful at 6,400. Let's bump it up to 12,800. We're gonna go to 16,000 on this one. Now we're gonna bump it up to 20,000 ISO. Great tracking here of the police car. We're gonna go to f11. Bump the ISO up to 25,600. This is friggin' insane. We just keep going and going and going, and the noise is not really happening. So here we go. We're in the 56,000 range in ISO. The noise is starting to appear. The images are still very usable at 25,600. In fact, just to give you guys an idea, the images are as clean at 25,600 on the D4s as they would be at around 3200 on, say, a 5D Mark II, or even maybe a D7100. Just for fun, we're gonna go ahead and push it to 102,000. It's ridiculous, 102,000. Got a drunk guy across the street. The police are really handling him. Go back down to 16,000 ISO. Man, he's in some serious trouble, huh? So let's go up to 204,000 ISO. $204,000 ISO is starting to look really, really crappy. Like, really crappy. But we're gonna go here. We're entering the abyss of like the black hole. 409,000 ISO. Really, we're gonna push it all the way. Let's do that right now. And it looks like crummy cell footage from the original iPhone in 2008. If you're desperate, you could probably get some use at 102, but it's marvelous that you're actually getting an image out of 409,000. In fact, about 15 years ago, you'd be lucky to get an image out of 400 or 600 because it'd be grainy and messy everywhere. And thinking back to my Canon 7D days, I maybe would be hitting a brick wall at 4,000 or 6,400. So this is an amazing camera. So of course we got the dial lock here, single, constant, low, constant, high, quiet, mirror up mode, timer, bracketing flash, metering, just the same as the D4, all the same spots here, HDMI, Ethernet, mic, headphone jack, USB, wireless controller. All the buttons light up, your menu, play, picture control, zooming in and out, your OK and info button, everything's the same as a D4. ISO quality, white balance, leaving your little voice memos for professionals that are doing your editing for you. Switching over to film or, of course, photography. Autofocus mode for vertical, the two knobs, the locking, everything's identical to the D4. Every last button, still got the compact flash and the XQD cards. Nothing has really changed except this right here. These buttons are a little bit harder and they're not soft, of course, like the D4. They feel just a little different and I gotta get used to them. And the indent here for your thumb is a little bit bigger and it's a lot softer. It's really a lot more comfortable than the D4. But other than that, everything is the exact same.
So now it's time for the low light test. An ISO 400 through 3200 is almost a complete waste to show you, but I'm going to anyway. All the way up until 3200, you would need a telescope to find any noise at all, and even then I doubt you would. By ISO 6400, there's some noise in the midtones here and there, but it's so faint you'd still need a magnifying glass. By ISO 12800, bust out that magnifying glass because you're still going to have trouble finding it. 25,600, there is some noise creeping up, and by 51,200, you've reached the limit for usability. By 102,400, it's starting to fall apart and look kind of bad. And at 204,800, you guessed it, it's really crappy, and by 409,000, it looks like sandpaper. Now, let's go ahead and compare the D4 to the D4s. And as you're going to see, up until about ISO 6400, the noise performance is very similar. There is differences in the fact that the D4s is slightly better. However, you're going to have to hire the CIA to find it because it's so small, you're just not really going to be able to pinpoint it. By ISO 6400 though, that's where things start to change. And when we get to ISO 12800, the D4s image looks slightly better. At ISO 25600, you can see the D4s holds on to colors and shadow detail much better. At 51,200, it's even more noticeable as the greens fall apart in the D4. At 102,400, they're both looking really bad, but the D4s holds on to the greens better and the shadow detail. That same trend happens for 204,000. And by the time we get to 409,000, well, you're going to have to hire a forensics team to figure out what the hell you're shooting. The Nikon D4s is the evolution of something that was already magnificent, the Nikon D4. And they've improved upon that camera so well. The low-light performance of the D4s is untouched on the market today. To be able to shoot at 12,800 ISO and get images that are remarkably clean is something worth bragging about. considering the fact that only 4 or 5 years ago, 3200 was a brick wall for even the best cameras. And now they've added the group function to the autofocusing system and tweaked the algorithms. The D4s will track faster than any DSLR on the market. They've also increased the buffer to 200 shots with the exposure lock, not to mention 1080p at 50 and 60 frames, which is unheard of in a DSLR. This camera will shoot video and photos in a black hole, so if you're looking for the professional camera that will never let you down, this is the camera for you.
So the D4s is a great camera, but is it a lot better than the D4? Yes, it is. The D4s has got just mind-blowing ISO. It's just ridiculous. 409,000, although it's not usable. Wow, pretty soon we're gonna be dealing with 1 million and 2 million ISO. It'll get to the point where a good photo is gonna be shot at 1 million ISO. Like, it's ridiculous. But the D4s is amazing. It's group feature for autofocus. It's even improved autofocusing capability through algorithm updates from Nikon. Although it's the same multicam 3500, it is much improved over the D4. Image quality with the new XP4 processor, fantastic. I can get clean images at 56,000 ISO, 25,600, all look good. Anything below 12,800 is going to be amazing. Like, you're not going to have any noise at all, really. And if you do, you're going to need a magnifying glass to find it. Or a 70-200 from Nikon and maybe zoom in on the picture that you printed out, or some bizarre or other, I don't know. But the ISO is amazing. The performance is awesome. The 60 and 50 frames in 1080p, you get 60p and 50p in 1080. Wow, they finally got it right. The narrow or the wide mic internal span is great. Wind cut, all kinds of extra video features, the 2.7 crop, the DX mode, and the full frame mode. Oh, I'm out of breath here talking about it. Give me a second. It's a lot of features. The D4 is just a great camera, and the D4s made it even better. This is fantastic. If you don't already own a D4, then I definitely recommend getting the D4s. If you already have the D4 and you must have the best low light and you need 60p, this is it. It's fantastic. There's not another DSLR on the market that will give you better low light performance. That's a guarantee. I know that. I've used them all. I've used everything. Nothing will shoot better in low light than a D4s. Period. You've done it, Nikon. You've done a great job. If you guys want to purchase any of the gear that I review, please use the information box below and use those links. And of course, all the links I'm putting on the screen from other cameras and lenses I've reviewed. Don't forget to subscribe. And I've got some exciting news, guys. The Red Epic, the Red Scarlet, the C300, the C100, and the Black Magic reviews and shootouts and battle royals are going to be coming in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be fantastic. Are you excited? Because I am excited. Anyway, guys, don't forget to subscribe, use the links I provide below. Please support the channel. Have a great time. I'm Corey with Faymus Media from Times Square. Happy shooting.